Yes, I know I'm extremely late to the Sparking Zero hype train, but I couldn't help myself. It was October, and the only thing scary about Dragon Ball is the way they handled Gohan. Hello everybody, my name is Gambit, and welcome to Infamous Synergy, and welcome to my honest review of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Long story short, I think it could have been way better. First off, let it be known that I have not played a Tenkaichi series game in over 10 years. One of the only things I actually do remember is how many push-ups I could get in the Vegeta minigame. But we are not talking about that humble flex today. We're going to be talking about my honest thoughts about the semi-new release Sparking Zero. I might make some comparisons to Tenkaichi 3 at some points, but that's not going to be the main point of this video. This video will be split up into 3 different segments. Number 1 is first impressions, number 2 is the content, and number 3 is the gameplay. Let's talk some Sparking Zero.
If they set that android free, it will be the end of all of us!
Let's kick things off with the intro. Not gonna lie, I'm really disappointed they didn't do their own original soundtrack for this game. Instead, all we got is just one of the intros for Dragon Ball Super. You know, they didn't even need to make a whole new intro, they could have just used the same track from Budokai Tenkaichi 3 and just reanimated it here. The visuals for the intro are done extremely well, but that doesn't help me get over the wave of disappointment that there's no original song to go with it. So sadly, the intro is not really it for me. Why don't we make our way to the main menu? Oh my, can someone tell me why the characters look like that? Why do they look like someone trying to mod a Dragon Ball skin onto a GTA model? If anime had an uncanny valley, this would be it. Accompanied with the lifeless looking models are some lifeless looking menu selections. We seriously couldn't put any more effort in than just some semi-transparent gray bubbles with text. Even the Tenkaichi games from 15 years ago are more creative than this. Look at how Tenkaichi 3 has so much life and character in the main menu, and the same can be said for a fellow anime competitor game like the Storm series. You see how Naruto does these powerful dynamic poses on the main menu? Sparking Zero does nothing like that. Instead, the characters just slowly wave their arms and look over their shoulders real awkward. On top of that, the menu selection options are so small compared to the rest of the screen, also you can see the lifeless characters in the background. I'm sorry, but my primary focus on the game should be what I'm selecting, not what Goten and Trunks are playing on the iPad. Once again, looking at the Storm series, you can see big bold letters for what you are selecting. Naruto is an important piece here in the menu, but he's not the primary one. Unfortunately, the game really does not do a great job at presenting itself. There's no separation for online and offline battles. Considering that's pretty much a standard nowadays, it's kind of a weird choice. Some of the sections also have misleading titles, like challenges and missions. Can someone tell me why we have 2 completely separate pages just to claim rewards? We didn't even call story mode, instead we just called it episode battle. Yes, I know it's not the complete story of Dragon Ball, and that's not a problem for me, but you could have just called it story mode, that would have been so much easier. Unfortunately, my first impressions aren't all that impressed. The game could really use a lot of work in terms of presentation, and I am not talking about graphics. Which is why first impressions get a 4 out of 10 for me. I'm sorry, but you shouldn't be getting outdone by a game that was made 15 years ago on the main menu. Now let's go a little bit deeper in the game and see what content it actually has to offer.
Do you really believe your own hype that much? I am the hype!
Let's start with the main squeeze that the game has, being its episode battles. Episode battles are really interesting, really fun takes on the Dragon Ball story. Being able to replay these scenarios from a different perspective is really interesting, and I love that they brought this concept back from the older games. Being able to do things like playing as Gohan Black, or Frieza if he beat Vegeta and Goku, like that's all very interesting and stuff fans have thought of for a long time. Which is why I'm sad to say that this content is only limited to around 8 characters. Outside of the low budget cutscenes, I actually don't have that many complaints about episode battles. Except for the fact that the roster is 90 characters, and this story mode only features around 8. Now, under no means am I saying they should have made one for every single character, but some sort of content for them would have been nice. Like if you beat the episode battles as Gohan, then you should be able to play a free play mode as another character in the story. Pretty much the exact same deal that LEGO games do. This would mean there is some sort of story content for characters that don't get as much of a shine. So that would be my main fix for episode battles, but what would I do outside of that? The answer is not much, cause there really isn't much outside of that. Yes, before you say anything, I know custom battles do exist, but I'm not considering community-made content as proper content for the game. Yeah, sure it's fun for a while, but it's not that streamlined content that I'm looking for. So what exactly am I looking for? And I can tell you it's definitely not boring PvE battles in tournament mode. Types of features that I feel like would be really easy to implement but for some reason are missing from the game are as follows. My first idea would be raid battles. If both Xenoverse and Fighters can do it, then why can't Sparking Zero? Why is there no streamlined mode to just wham on an overpowered enemy with some friends? We also could have some tower battles similar to how Mortal Kombat does. I should be able to choose any character and go up against a series of story villains or heroes, whatever you want to do. Why isn't there just a game mode where I can fight Vegeta, then Frieza, then Cell, then Boo, just in that order? Or you can do the same with the movie villains. The options are pretty much endless. I feel like both of these are really simple things to achieve, but for some reason they aren't in the base game, leaving someone like me who doesn't play one of the 8 characters that are featured in Episode Battle with pretty much zero PvE content that's actually sustainable. Even the Tournament of Power mode isn't actual good content. It's just a glorified 5v5 when it could have easily been just a free-for-all. So for someone like me who likes to play Android 17 and 18, there's pretty much no content for me outside of tournaments and playing with friends. I'm pretty sure Tenkaichi 3 actually had a game mode similar to a tower type of thing, fighting the movie villains and stuff, so if the original had it, why don't we have it here? Also, side note, I really missed the loading minigames. That was a really cool thing and I thought we should have brought that back. Rest in peace, Vegeta Push-Up minigame. You're the best piece of content we never asked for. Content for me pretty much just gets like a 5.5 out of 10, and that's heavily carried by the episode battles.
Hey, it's me, Goku! Don't think I haven't got the strength to avenge my friends, you bastard!
Now let's finally talk about the gameplay and mechanics. When it comes to comparing the combat from Sparking Zero to Tenkaichi 3, I will pretty much have no clue what I am talking about. So if there's some kind of mechanic or something I say I don't like, keep in mind I probably wouldn't like it if I went back and tried it again now. Before you even manage to delve deep into the combat that Sparking Zero has to offer, you run into a lot of quality of life issues. How are you a fighting game in 2024 and you don't even have a random stage select button? Also, the game barely gives you any time to select a full team to use in a match. The game has no pre-save team options, so you can't even rely on that once you're up and running. So every time you want to change your team up a little bit, you can't just swap to a pre-saved team like you can in Fighters, for instance. Instead, you have to sift through the 90 characters and find which ones you want to use. I feel like both of these things should be pretty standard things to implement, but clearly not. Also, why does the super training feel super bad to navigate? Why do I have to completely press 2 random inputs to swap to the next segment of training? I forget exactly what the buttons are, it's just something really uncomfortable like pause and like L1 or something weird together for no reason. Or if I'm watching a demo of a mechanic, I have to wait for the characters to finish what they were doing before I can select again. And for some reason, once you take down the training dummy's health bar, the entire arena resets. Now we're more than 6.5 minutes into this video, and it is finally time to talk about the combat. For the most part, I like the combat, it's some good casual fun, but beyond that, I have a lot of problems with it. First off, why are there so many defensive options? Now this isn't about me having a bad guard break game or whatever, but genuinely, there's like 6. Why are there so many defensive options when there aren't even that many offensive options to cover? Forgive me for not knowing the name of each technique, but you have Block, Vanish, Perception, aka Sway, Super Perception, Super Counter, which acts like a parry, and I'm not 100% all of these even take resources. You get to hit your opponent like 3 times before it turns into a Vanish battle, which is extremely boring. Or they can double tap the left trigger and just knock you completely off of them, stopping your combo. You can block everything and just get lucky with a Sway. There's just so many options to play with and I don't understand why. Also, why does transforming and switching feel so awkward to do? Needing to push the left and right sticks in constantly is just asking for accidentally pulling up the emote wheel. And then you have to sort through everything if you want to switch your character or you want to fuse. It just feels really clunky. Also, the lack of free controller scaping is really frustrating. Why can't I just use a face button with the right trigger to perform a special move? Why does it always have to be the opposite side and you can't adjust that? I just want to press R2 and square to perform a Kamehameha. Is that so much to ask? Also, why is there no skip intro button? I play a lot of Android 18, so every time I load into a match, I have to watch the camera zoom over her butt to her face, and I swear she has like the longest intro in the game. When you just want to get into a match, you want to get into a match. I barely want to touch on balance, because I know the answer is going to be, oh, it's not meant to be balanced, like this is what Dragon Ball's like, and I get that. That's why this game is a casual game, not competitive. But that does not make it any less frustrating when my character only has 3 bars of health and a super takes down 2.5 of them. So at the end of the day, there's a lot of fun to be had with the combat, but also a lot of frustration when going from match to match. The gameplay and mechanics and quality of life stuff gets like a 6.5 for me, I'd say. Unfortunately, I feel like there's a lot this game does good, but never really great. A lot of these things really hold back the quality for me, especially as someone who's such a huge Dragon Ball fan. For me, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero fails to meet the high bars set by its predecessors. This is such a famous series, and I hate seeing it brought back without reaching its full potential, which is why the game overall for me gets a 6 out of 10. Thank you everybody for watching. Is there anything you think Sparking Zero missed the mark on, or are you loving the game so far? And while you're here, why not like and subscribe? We'll see you in the next one.